Thank you for sharing your evening with me. I am JB Bryan, President and Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, the home of AfroEconomics, a registered investment advisory firm. And AfroEconomics is a strategic financial management program designed for the advancement of Black wealth in America and abroad. We're talking about the economy tonight. And I didn't really want to call this workshop tonight the Black economy, but that's the way we really can think of it from an Afroeconomics perspective. I didn't want to just spit out numbers, tell you how great the economy is doing, and have no relevance to what we or you are going through or how this impacts us. And and really, a lot of times when you hear about the economy, I don't know if you watch the business news or when I was in school, I studied accounting and finance. And the interesting thing I was telling someone this morning is that when you study accounting and finance in school, that doesn't teach you about personal finance. So when someone tells you, I want to be a financial advisor because I studied business in school, one thing has absolutely nothing to do with the other until you start thinking about the economy, then a little bit. So a lot of times you see an economist talk about the economy and they're talking about it from an academic perspective. And in business school, we talk about, when we study finance, we're talking about corporate finance. And when we study accounting, we're talking about corporate accounting. We're not talking about TurboTax or preparing taxes or doing tax planning. I had to actually take an extra personal finance class. And then after to do that, outside of the business school, an extra class, like use an elective to take a personal finance class. And then I said, wow, I really like this. And then after that, over summertime, while in school, I think I went actually over the summer was before I started business school, and they were a venture capital firm. And I was telling the venture capital firm, the president of that firm, I said, I think I like personal finance. And he said, I got a friend. And it was amazing. And thankfully, they took an interest in me as just this person working over the summer and offered me a job to stay at the firm for after the summer. They said, we really would love for you to stay at the firm. And this was the vice president of the company said, but you are a student at one of the finest institutions in this country. I was at University of Virginia. And he said, though we want you to stay here, I think it would be better for your long term. And that was a powerful, powerful meeting because money was tight. I didn't know how I was going to pay for school. I didn't know. He said, but I feel that it would be better for you to go back to the University of Virginia and continue your movement through business school. But over that summer, and it was called Bro Ventures Firm. I really should look them up and let them know that what I do. See if they still exist. But they were investing in small business and doing venture capital. And I was like, this is really interesting what they do. I had a whole bunch of subsidiaries and everything was amazing. But they turned me on to a financial advisor. And he had a cute little office and he just sat there and he talked to me about what they do, and that was really nice. And that's why it's important for me to have the AfroEconomics Fest. Because of what people have done for me, I want to make sure that I leave this planet having done that for them as well. And the reason that it's priceless, I might change all of my paperwork, all of the flyers. I might change to that the fest is priceless instead of putting free on there. Now, even though we're 3 months out and we have almost 100 people that are already registered for it, so I mean, that is phenomenal. But I still feel that we undervalue free opportunities when I'm standing here saying that one of the most powerful experiences, that's one of many, have been absolutely free. If we take advantage of the information, we are going to have some of the most highly educated Black people on this planet on my panels with experiences that exceed 30 years, bringing it to the participants. In addition to me having been an entrepreneur all these years, celebrating 25 years in business, we don't have a lot of our businesses, big or small, that have existed for at least 25 years. And we're going past that, y'all. Because of you, I'm able to do this because of you. So that's why, I say that is our chance to realize that is what our economy is. That's our true economy, us investing in our success. But back to this. So in business school, we learned something, the gross domestic product. And when they talk about the economy, we talk about the GDP, the gross domestic product. And that GDP consists of C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Right? You're like, what? That's why the economic discussions just aren't as powerful as they really should be. Because we don't know what C plus I plus G plus X minus M is, but I'm gonna tell you today. So the gross domestic product, which is used to express what the economy truly is C, that stands for private consumption, how much money we're spending, plus I is the amount of business spending, plus G, what is that? Government spending. And then X minus M. X is the exports minus M, the imports. And that gives us GDP, the gross domestic product, like how much production is coming out of this United States. And I think about that, I go like, we really individually all need to think about what is our own personal GDP. How much production are you actually putting out? How is your health? You can do what you like. Your personal GDP could include all of the components of AfroEconomics. Do you have your legacy set up? Do you have what have you learned this year? Are you financially independent, more financially independent than you were last year? Are you farther along? Is your credit score up? It says the average credit score is now over 700. So from an economic standpoint, what have you advanced on that way? If we had a personal economy, it would have to include that component of AfroEconomics, credit confidence. Have you advanced in that way? So your personal gross domestic product or production for you personally could include all of the components of AfroEconomics and giving them each a value and how has it advanced from one year to the next. And that's what they use for government spending, personal spending, how you doing? Lackman, I hope that's how you say your name. Well, I'll practice that when I talk to you on Friday, but and definitely one of our new entrepreneur members. I'm so proud of you. When you speak to everyone, he said, good evening, everyone. Do all panelists and, Lukman, I love it. Thank you. Do panelists and attendees, because the panelists is just me, but attendees will include everyone. But Lukman said, hello, everyone. He is indeed a business entrepreneur member, and he will be here for March. He didn't say, but we just heard him say that. Look, you just heard me say that. So what is your personal gross domestic product? Well, of course, for the U.S., and I'm not going to say, I shouldn't say of course, but for the U.S. economy, the gross domestic product or the production or the growth of the U.S. economy is supposed to slightly slow down from 2.2% to 2% for this year, and to slow down a little bit more in 2021 and to slow down a little bit more in 2022. How can they say that? How would they know that? Well, we used to play with it and we'd say, if government spending goes down, what will happen? If government spending goes up, what will happen? So if they're saying that the government spending in 2021 and 2022, that the government is going to slow down spending because of, something that they're working on in Congress or whatever. That's how you make economic forecasts. Or if they're saying like that, that taxes will change, so that maybe there'll be personal spending will slow down with an increase in taxation. But that's how these academics make projections on, and we have to determine how is this information going to impact us. So I was thankful on Monday when I was able to share on Channel 6 that let's just look at this information on how it actually impacts you personally. So if the economy slows down, and I feel especially as a Black business owner, as the economy slows down, we are the first indication. Small business, especially small Black business, things impact us first. I think we are the first to feel a slowdown in the economy, because unfortunately, the majority of us are not at the top of the food chain. We're not the business owners. We are the workers. So when hiring slows down, it impacts those who work for people first. And that's why it's important for that, also that entrepreneurship component of your individual domestic product, of your own personal economy, to say to have additional sources of income. If you do work somewhere, what are your additional sources of income? And some of you that are participating are retired or at an age where you can actually get guaranteed income, or you're getting guaranteed income. So your challenge is more of understanding what is inflation, how is inflation, and the core inflation rate is expected for 2020 to be under 2%, like 1.9, they're saying. And for 2021, they're expecting the inflation rate, and this is according to Federal Open Market Committee information. This is federal government information. 2021, inflation is expected to be at 2%. And then to go into 2022 at 2% as well. So we're looking at inflation staying moderately low, which means you might not get a substantial income raise if you're living on Social Security. So when I say we need to be controlling our spending, and then people say, but the economy is doing so well, that has nothing to do with your personal economy. Because if you don't get a substantial raise or increase in your income, you work for the federal government, and they adjust your income increase based on inflation numbers. Well, we know now you shouldn't expect for your income to be going a lot higher. And then if you're a business owner and you're depending on people spending more, well, if people aren't making a lot more, they're not going to be spending a lot more. So your growth rate for income and sales may not be, much higher than 2% each year. Or if you want it to be more than that, you have to figure out how can you do that, or how can you bring down your expenses to still make your company more profitable. Because sales doesn't mean profits. And a lot of times we think that sometimes people can be making the highest sales or the highest income of their entire life. But because of the expenses that they generated or connected to that income, or the expenses that they generated in business connected to those sales, reduces their income, their actual income, their actual amount of money that they have, or they even go into debt to generate that. So their net worth, or the shareholders' equity, or the equity of the business, can actually go down because they did not efficiently or effectively create that income. And we do the same thing. And that's why I would say that every person has to have an entrepreneur should have, or it's great if you can have an entrepreneurial spirit about your personal life, like running yourself as a business. So interest rates also. Interest rates, according to the Federal Open Market Committee, has maintained that the current Fed funds interest rate is going to be between 1.5 and 1.75. They've been holding it there, and they don't expect to increase interest rates until 2021. We'll see if that holds true. But what does that mean? What does that mean if interest rates stay low? What does that mean to you and your personal economy? Does that mean that you should take advantage of all of these lovely credit cards offers with the 0% interest? You see them? Yes. Everybody's offered, like, you can do 1 year, 0% interest rate. And if you don't pay that balance off, you are going to pay interest on that money from day one in most cases. So make sure, I think I like just talking to you for now. I see. You're sending the message. So Ms. Cotman said, T. Cotman said that she just wants to talk to me like she's not going to do the whole attendees thing. That must be Lukman too. Well, I challenge someone to make sure that they do 2 panelists and attendees. Say hey to everyone. Mike Robb usually is the first one to say hi to everybody. He must be driving or something. Hi, Nita. How are you? You can do it. Like, how are you, Mr. Joyner? Hi, Miss Hayes. I know Miss Hayes will say hi to everyone. Well, let me get back to, so let's go back to, so I was referring to just basic inflation rate and knowing how that impacts your income, and raises. A lot of times the raises are connected to the government inflation rate. So if government inflation rate says it's low, which it is low, and they're saying it's going to stay low, inflation. But we know that then that can affect your getting a raise. Like, say your boss says, well, we give pay raises according to inflation, and they're saying that inflation is going to stay low. Well, then that means you're not going to get a big raise if they're going to stay by that word. But remember what I said that we talked about in another discussion. To get the most substantial raises, you need to take that chance in most cases and switch jobs, switch places. Now, I don't want to, encourage you to job hop, but I do want to encourage you to job hop. I want you to maximize your career. I was reading an article today, and it was talking about the biggest regrets of people over 50. And one of them was not taking enough chances with your career. It's like people without hesitation will go into debt. And that's why I'm saying that even though interest rates as well, are these interest rates are going to be held low, they're saying, for the next couple of years as far as that Fed funds rate, and so the banks will keep their interest rates low, things. But so people will go into debt, go get more school loans, go get additional degrees, but they won't take that step of updating that resume and try getting a raise, and without even worrying about that. Because there's always going to be another reason why you can convince yourself that you can't move forward, because you're not enough. I don't have enough of this, or I don't have enough that. I don't have enough that. While in reality, it's a numbers game. Everything is. There's every reason in the world for me to not be right here sharing this knowledge with you. But I had to psychologically overcome any reason, any excuse, a reason not to do it. Because that's what we have to do in order to make the leaps that we deserve. Because if you're talking about 2%, each year, when you can switch jobs and get a 5-10% raise, you can't beat it. And you have to at least try. So for my personal economy position, understand that inflation is expected to be low and stay low, but we know that our personal inflation is much higher than that. You know how much more it costs you to take care of healthcare costs. There was a client just telling me a few moments ago that how much she had to spend on healthcare, uncovered healthcare expenses. And she retired from a nice corporate job. And the uncovered healthcare expenses force her to use her savings. Force her. So, you know, that I say that to say that you have to make sure that you are being very conscious about what you do with your money, how many expenses, what expenses that you create, regardless of how great and how low these expenses look. Because if she wasn't in a position, if she didn't take advantage of these opportunities to save money, she would never have been able to do it and would have had to take out a lot money more from a retirement account, which is a taxable event. So you have to use this economy as an opportunity to reduce your expenses. No matter how great it is, reduce your bills, reduce your expenses. Don't get the new credit card offers. We got to skip it. We got to go without, and we got to make those sacrifices. Because one thing we can know for sure, that no matter how great things are, how many positive news stories they can say about unemployment is at historical lows, another economic update, that we know that many of the people that we know are not making any more money than they were 10 years ago. There are a lot of people underemployed, people with PhDs making $30,000, $40,000 a year with $200,000 in school loans. So we have to protect ourselves. So this is another update. The Bureau of Labor Statistics expects total employment to increase by 8.9 million jobs within the next 10 years. Healthcare occupations will account for 18 of the 30 fastest growing occupations. So we have to establish skills for the growing and changing job market. So it's saying that production, administrative support, and sales, those jobs are going to be replaced with computer and technological solutions. Retail sales will also lose jobs. Now, this is according to labor stats. Retail will lose jobs and it will move towards e-commerce. The shift will also increase jobs in transportation and warehousing. Because I guess people are going to be buying stuff over the computer and they're going to have to be delivered. So this got to be transported. So we know that unemployment is at historic lows now, but we have to make sure that we move away from this underemployment. Too many of us are underemployed. And I feel that the only way for us to move our employment status higher is we're going to have to get into environments like AfroEconomics and increase your confidence. That is a huge part of what we do together, whatever the goal is. Even if a member is like, I just need somebody to look at my resume, I want to get some feedback on it. How powerful that is. It's a priceless opportunity or a business, but we have to network. That's why March is so important, so that we can network with each other. You can find about what's going on. You can see what other people are doing. You can continue to allow me to support you and help you and keep that going. We have to be in constant communication, regular communication. And we can do this using technology to change our world. So it says only 5 years from now, within the next 5 years, this is according to the World Economic Forum, 35% of the skills seen as essential today will be changing. So according to this World Economic Forum, and that it is saying that the major jobs are going to be in data literacy, and that is using your computer skills to turn the use of computer data into business value. Thinking. And then it also says a second point, that critical thinking, that there's no shortage of information and data, but the companies need individuals who have the ability to understand that information and to put it together and help the business become more profitable. So how do you take this situation and move the company forward with it? Thinkers. Wow, right? Just being technically savvy is great, but they're going to have to be smarter. You're going to have to be flexible and adaptable and creative. And have you heard this new term about emotional intelligence? Well, Forbes magazine says another area where humans have the edge over machines is emotional intelligence. Our ability to be aware of, control, and express our emotions and understand the emotions of others. And that emotional, and basically showing that you are a good, solid person. Understand, having leadership skills. This is hear what I'm saying? Being able to collaborate. This is Forbes magazine. So I'm talking about, they're saying that these are the most important skills that businesses are going to want for the next 10 years. Where exactly in there did it say that you had to have a master's degree, or you had to have a PhD, or you had to have a lot of the things that are creating massive amounts of debt for us? It's not saying that. It's saying that they want more than that. They want you to have more than that. And we have to realize the rules are changing. And we're going to have to figure out exactly how to show and express these types of things. And that's why, social media and people are building their own personalities, build their own enterprises, their own expression through social media. I think some businesses are going to be picking up people from social media for every aspect of their company. They're going to say, look at them on social media. They can do marketing. They've done marketing. They've marketed that. They have, 2,000 subscribers, this, and if they can do that, they can do that for my company. And I would say that too. If I saw somebody that came to apply for me and they had 10,000 and I could tell they were real legitimate, subscribers or supporters of something that they were doing, then I'm like, if you could do that, you could do this for me. And that there's going to be a movement more of that. It's like, show me versus investing in you. Back in the day, they would take you and teach you everything. Now it's like, no, I want to show you. Like they're gonna want engineers to come in with examples of what they've already built. Dr. Williams says we need to focus our knowledge and skills in the context of our goals. It's great to have computer skills, but know where you want to apply those skills. Amen. Healthcare, cybersecurity, energy, agriculture, business, it's true. And I know how that can be applied in reality and really be applicable. How can you come in? Because a lot of times we think that because you have these computer skills, that you actually have something to offer to a business. And that's basically what Dr. Williams is saying. But just because you have these skills and you've taken these classes and you know how to code, doesn't mean you have anything to offer to a business. They're actually going to have to teach you to make that what you know applicable to what they're trying to do to help their customers. So because the job is we want to help customers. And you're thinking, oh, just because I have this or I have this degree or I have this, knowledge that is valuable. No, how you help people, that's what adds value. And Ms. Jones says, MJ Jones says, I suggest that people must focus on education to prepare for higher paying positions. Yes, you definitely need to have the education, but education, she's not saying that that means that you have to go into debt. She's saying you got to get the knowledge. Education, it can be whatever training that is required in order to achieve something that you're interested in, the service that you feel that you need to prepare or to provide to the planet. Yes. Applied knowledge is power. That's right. Yes, indeed, T. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I know. I definitely know what that feels like. You can't just exist. That's right. You have to live and live. It brings living brings on and it shares of risk. And that may not be good. You made a lot of comments and I missed them. I'm sorry. Yes, and the healthcare industry is hot, but there are so many other industries that are hot, Exactly. Many times it's certifications and not always degrees. That's right. Sometimes it is certifications, and sometimes certifications are a complete waste of time. Sometimes it is the real experience that is priceless, and we're not, because most of the time, anything that you can buy with money and just buy it is generally not the solution to what the business is looking for. If you can buy it or you can just study for it, it's not really what businesses need. What businesses need is that which is priceless. And it's hard, it's almost impossible that, look at the list that I was just saying, creativity. How do you buy creativity? You know, like that is developed through critical thinking and application and confidence and living. Like you can't become like what they love to. I mean, people that sell certifications would love for you to believe that you can become certified creative consultant, and then now you have everything. It's just a title that some people give value, but typically you still are gonna have to prove it. Your customers, your service is what really, really is everything. I say we go out there and just do. There are some things that are going to require that you do that you have to have, like you want to be a brain surgeon, you have to go to medical school, you got to be a lawyer. They've set up that criteria. You've got to do that. I don't even know, you don't even have to go to law school, I don't think, to become a lawyer, but you have to find out what the criteria is. Like I became a stockbroker with a master's degree. Everybody else in the room, I was the only black person in there, but nobody else in the room had a master's. I'm coming in there fully loaded with sales experience. Most of them just came because they were such and such's cousin, and they knew each other from college, and this and that. When they just came and they hustled, and they came and they had people that they knew that had money too. So they had that advantage. I didn't know anybody with money, and I just came with a whole bunch of work. Right? Right? And I was, I said I'm gonna do a workshop because I was listening to my daughter's physics tutor, and he was saying today about power. He said work divided by time equals power, and I said, whoa. And just think about how powerful that is. Work divided by time equals power. Like how your time and our time is fixed. We pretty much you're doing like 40 hours a week. You're doing it. I'm doing about 80. The smaller I can get my time, the more effective my work is. So it's like not like wonderful if you have to work, because if you're using all this time, if your time and your bottom number is bigger, it's really cutting down on the effectiveness of your work. And how humbling it was to really think of it that way. I said, I have to make sure that every moment of my time is effective work in order to really have some essential power, influence, value that I'm bringing. Every moment of this discussion has to be bringing somebody something good. And then I'm gonna let y'all go, but I also wanted to, so establishing skills for the changing job market, Managing your portfolio actively is very important. Though the stock market is doing well, nobody has 100% of their market of their money in any of the market indices. So that's not going to, someone might, but they still will find out that they're not getting the pure performance because they might have some of their money, of course, in a savings account. So they're not going to on all of their money ever, but we need to uh, actively manage our portfolios, because there's one thing that you can always expect is for things to change. The cycle of the economy is ever changing. Now, we have had a nice run over the last 10 years, but I'm going to tell you, it was ugly the 10 years before that. So we have to plan for a drop back. As hard and as difficult as it is, you have to make sure that you put forth effort to protect yourself from a negative experience. Save up for emergencies. As the job market changes, we don't want to have our community exposed to the same mistakes that we made last time things changed for the economy. We want to make sure that we save more, spend less, and invest more, because too many of us are underemployed. And if unemployment continues to stay at these historic lows, that's fabulous. But if underemployment still stays as high as it does for so many of us, that's still a challenge. If you're in debt, get out of debt. Lock in some of these extremely low long-term interest rates. Lock them in. And then an interesting thing, make sure that you're maximizing taxation and understanding the impact of taxation on the economy. Now we've had a night, corporate America is enjoying this because we're in a positive corporate environment, especially by the Trump administration lowering corporate taxes. So it did create some additional jobs. It created some additional bonuses. It created a more positive environment. People are more confident about the stock market. So if this changes, if there's a change in administration, that could create a change for the marketplace. It could create a change for your pocket. We might have a new administration and the tax brackets go the other way, and you have to actually pay more in taxes. Or you see a change on the required minimum distribution age might be even lower to increase having more money paid into the tax. We don't know. So how do we protect ourselves? Save more, accumulate your savings, have your emergency fund. Do it now while things are good. The more good things that we do while things are good, they protect us from having to struggle when things change. You will know that times are not as great, but you will know, I'm glad I did that. It's better to be prepared, when you don't have to, than to have a hard time and not be prepared. And then an additional note, that do you know that there were 850 national disasters in 2018 compared to only 500 national disasters in 2017? And that's something between 1988 and 2017, there were about 500 natural disasters a year. And then in 2018, it went up to 850. So the Federal Reserve in Richmond, Virginia, says that the changes in the climate are expected to reduce the U.S. economy by 30% over the next 100 years. Isn't that interesting? So the federal government, the Fed, they want banks to start creating a plan for the economic impact of extreme weather. So as business owners, we need to do the same. As individuals, you need to do the same. So they're saying that the weather is getting worse, there is climate change. If you believe that, and they're saying that it's a 30% decline, in the economy over the next 100 years, that's that's pretty substantial. And insurance companies are concerned about that as well. So I just thought that that was an interesting point, just to bring out that that is being looked at, and and so that kind of even supports my argument that the best thing that we can do is to make sure that we make some smart money moves and just secure ourselves. Protect your assets. Insurance, the cost of insurance, you can expect that to start increasing as well. So it's like we're going to need to have more money to just take care of basic things like our uncovered health expenses, and for insurance for your assets. If you're having more natural disasters and you own property, it's going to cost more for you to protect the property. So how do we plan for those? Just get your financial house in order. Oh, look, Dr. Williams says, using the formula, when time is zero, your power is infinite. That's right. That means my time is up. That's when you're most powerful. Elizabeth said, great job on WOL. Oh, thank you so much. I thank Carl. I really appreciate Carl Nelson allowing me to do that. I think I didn't find out like on a Monday. I found out like in between talking to you all. But I wish I told, but thank you. And I always, thank you, Elizabeth, you're awesome. A lot of times I don't talk about things that I'm going to do because I would rather you get like that pleasant surprise and be like, JB is on Carl Nelson. So that's really cool. How you doing, Mr. Piercy? Thank you all so much. Please prepare for the AfroEconomics Fest. Let me see that. I want to see my flyer. You go to the AfroEconomics.com site, and then you'll see this flyer, and you'll click right there, and then you can go and look. I don't know. It's all going bad, but you can definitely look. It's going into my admin site. But you can go click into that flyer, and then you can go and register. It's priceless to March 6th, 7th, and 8th. We're having a luncheon on the 6th and a party that night, and workshops all day on the 7th. And it's just going to be fun. So check out the entire calendar. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Y'all stayed in overtime. I appreciate you all so much.